I never imagined that the night I received the Distinguished Service Medal would be the same night my family destroyed me in front of 300 people. But there I was, standing at the podium of the Grand Ballroom at Fort Bragg Officers Club on a Saturday evening in October, watching my wife of 28 years stand up from our table, her voice cutting through the applause like a blade through silence. "I want a divorce, Richard." She said it loud enough that the microphone caught it, broadcast it through the sound system to every corner of that room. I'm done pretending to be proud of a man who chose the military over his family for 3 decades. The applause died instantly. 300 faces turned from me to her, then back to me, and my children, my son Derek, 26, and my daughter Madison, 23, they sat there at that head table and laughed, not nervous laughter, not uncomfortable giggles. Real, genuine laughter, like their mother had just told the funniest joke they'd ever heard. I stood there frozen, the medal heavy against my chest, and watched my entire life collapse in real time. My name is Richard Samuel Patterson. I'm 54 years old, and I spent 32 years in the United States Army. I enlisted at 18, worked my way up from private to colonel, served 4 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, and more classified operations than I'm allowed to discuss. I missed birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. I missed my son's high school graduation because I was in Kandahar. I missed my daughter's college acceptance celebration because I was in Baghdad. I thought I was building something. I thought I was protecting something. Turns out I was just absent. Let me back up to the beginning of that day, because you need to understand how carefully they planned this, how deliberate it was. I'd flown in from Stuttgart, Germany, 3 days earlier. I was stationed there as part of a NATO logistics command, my last assignment, before mandatory retirement at 55. The ceremony was supposed to be my transition celebration. 32 years of service, recognition for my work coordinating humanitarian relief operations in 7 countries, and a medal that only 200 officers in Army history have received. Jennifer, my wife, had seemed excited on the phone. She'd been living in our house in Fayetteville, North Carolina for the past 2 years while I finished my Germany posting. We'd done the long-distance thing before. It was nothing new. "Bring dress blues," she'd said. "They're doing a full ceremony. The kids are coming, everyone's so proud." I should have known something was wrong when she didn't pick me up at the airport. Derek did, driving a Range Rover I didn't recognize. "New car," I'd said. "When did you get this?" "Birthday present from Mom," he'd replied, not looking at me. 3 months ago, I'd let that sink in. 3 months ago was July. My birthday. Nobody had mentioned a Range Rover during our weekly calls. "How much did that cost?" Derek had shrugged. $92,000. Mum said we deserved it after everything. I'd nodded, watching North Carolina pass by through the window. The house looked different when we pulled up. New landscaping, new paint. A Tesla in the driveway next to Jennifer's old Honda. "Whose car?" "Madison's," Derek had said. "Graduation present." Jennifer had been waiting inside, looking better than I'd seen her look in years. She'd lost weight, had new highlights in her hair, wore clothes I didn't recognize. "You look great," I'd said, meaning it. She'd smiled, but it hadn't reached her eyes. "You look tired. You should rest before tomorrow. The ceremony's at 6. We need to be there by 5:30. That night, sleeping in my own bed for the first time in 2 years, I'd noticed Jennifer stayed on her side. No good night, no welcome home, just her back and the sound of her breathing. I told myself it was fine. We'd reconnect after the ceremony, after I retired. We'd have time then. The next morning, I tried to talk to the kids. Madison was on her phone. Derek was watching something on his laptop. "Hey," I'd said. "Can we have breakfast together? Maybe catch up?" "I've got plans," Madison had said without looking up. Derek had just shaken his head. "What plans?" "It's 8 in the morning. My life didn't pause because you came home, Dad." She'd said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather. That afternoon, I'd gone through the closet looking for my dress blues. I'd found Jennifer's phone bill. She'd left it on the dresser, and I wasn't snooping. It was just there. 743 minutes to one number last month, a number I didn't recognize. I'd sat on the bed, staring at that bill. 743 minutes. That's more than 12 hours. I'd called her once a week from Germany, usually talked for 30, maybe 40 minutes. Who talks to someone for 12 hours in a month? I'd heard her laugh downstairs. I'd put the bill back. The ceremony started at 6 o'clock exactly. The ballroom was packed. Officers I'd served with, enlisted men and women I'd commanded, community leaders, the base commander, 3 generals. Everyone who mattered in my military life was there. Jennifer sat to my right at the head table. Derek and Madison flanked her. They'd dressed nicely. Jennifer wore a red dress that must have cost a fortune. The kids looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine. The speeches started. My commander talked about my dedication, my logistics work, my sacrifice. A general I'd served under in Iraq told a story about me coordinating a supply drop under fire that saved 43 Marines. People applauded. Jennifer smiled. It looked real. Then came my turn. I'd walked to the podium, looked out at all those faces, and started to thank everyone. Thank my family for their support, their patience, their sacrifice. Because military families sacrifice too. That's when Jennifer stood up. The room was still applauding. I was mid-sentence talking about how proud I was to have served, how grateful I was for my family's understanding during the deployments, the missed moments, the long absences. I want a divorce, Richard. The applause stopped. Someone gasped. I stared at her. What? I'm done. I've been done for years, but I waited until tonight because I wanted everyone to know. I wanted all these people who think you're so honorable, so dedicated, so selfless, to know what you really are. A man who abandoned his family for a job. A man who cared more about medals than his children. A man who hasn't been a husband in any real sense for over a decade. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. Derek was laughing now, not loudly, but I could see his shoulders shaking. Madison had her phone out, was typing something. Was she texting someone? Right now. Jennifer, I finally managed. Can we please discuss this privately? No, she said. I'm done with private. I'm done with pretending everything's fine while you get praised for abandoning us. These people should know who you really are. A general tried to intervene. Ma'am, perhaps this isn't the appropriate venue. It's the perfect venue, Jennifer snapped. He's getting an award for distinguished service. But he never distinguished himself as a father or husband. He missed Derek's first word, his first step, his first day of school. He missed Madison's dance recitals, her debate championships, her graduation. He was always gone, always choosing the army over us. And we're supposed to smile and pretend that's noble? I looked at Derek and Madison. They were both watching this unfold with expressions I couldn't read. Not sympathy, not embarrassment. Something else, something harder. Kids, I said quietly. The microphone picked it up anyway. Please, don't call us kids, Derek said. He stood up too. We're adults now. Adults who grew up without a father because you were too busy playing hero halfway around the world. The room was dead silent now. 300 people watching my family dismantle me. I've never been so humiliated in my life, and I once had to explain to a 4-star general why we lost 15,000 MREs in a supply chain mix-up. This was worse. This was public. This was personal. And it was planned. I could see it now. The coordinated timing, the prepared speeches. Jennifer pulled out papers from her purse. I'm filing on Monday, she said. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half your pension, half the house, and spousal support, given that I sacrificed my career to raise our children alone while you pursued yours. Derek and Madison stood too. We support Mom, Madison said. Someone in the audience tried to clap supportively, but stopped when nobody joined in. This is insane, I said. Can we please go somewhere and talk about this like adults? We tried talking, Jennifer said. For 28 years I tried talking. You just never listened because you were never there. Now everyone knows. Now you can have your medal and your pride and your service record. I get everything else. They walked out, all 3 of them just walked right out of that ballroom while 300 people watched. The base commander tried to salvage the ceremony. He presented me with the medal. Said some words about service and sacrifice that felt hollow now. People applauded, but it was the kind of applause you give at a funeral. Polite, sad, obligatory. I don't remember leaving the stage. I don't remember shaking hands or thanking anyone. I just remember standing in the parking lot an hour later, still in my dress blues, the medal in my hand, watching people drive away. Nobody made eye contact. Nobody came over to talk. I'd become invisible. I drove to a hotel. I couldn't go back to the house, not yet. I checked into a Holiday Inn Express off All-American Freeway and sat on the bed, still in my uniform, trying to process what had just happened. My phone buzzed. Texts from numbers I didn't know. People who'd been at the ceremony, some supportive, most just curious. Then a text from Derek. Mom wants you to collect your things from the house tomorrow. She's having the locks changed Monday. Collect my things. From my house. The house I'd paid the mortgage on for 17 years. I called Jennifer. She didn't answer. I called Derek. He picked up on the 5th ring. What? Can we talk? There's nothing to talk about. Dad, you made your choices. We're making ours. But I don't understand. What did I do that was so wrong? I served my country. I provided for this family. You were never here, Derek said. And when you were here, you weren't really here. You were always thinking about the next deployment, the next mission, the next promotion. We were just the people you came home to between wars. That's not fair. It's completely fair. Madison and I grew up watching Mom cry herself to sleep, watching her explain to our teachers why you couldn't come to conferences, watching her handle every crisis, every problem, every moment of our lives alone. You think sending money makes you a father. You think buying us things makes up for missing everything that mattered. What about the things I had to miss, I wanted to say. What about the soldiers I led, the missions I completed, the lives I saved? But I didn't, because I knew how it would sound. I came home the next day at noon. Jennifer had her lawyer there, a woman in her 40s with a tight smile and a briefcase full of documents. Mr. Patterson, the lawyer said, my client has prepared an inventory of items you may take today. You have 3 hours to collect them and vacate the premises. This is my house. It's community property in North Carolina, the lawyer said, and my client has filed a motion for exclusive occupancy pending the divorce proceedings. You'll receive formal notification Monday. I suggest you cooperate. Derek and Madison sat on the couch watching. Are you two really okay with this? I asked them. They'd grown up here. This was their home too. We're moving out anyway, Madison said. Mom's buying us a condo in Raleigh. We're going to be roommates. With what money? I wanted to ask, but I already knew. My retirement fund. My pension. Everything I'd saved for 32 years. They'd already spent it in their heads. I packed what I could fit in my car, clothes, some books, a few photos from my parents, both deceased. Jennifer had removed all the family photos from the walls. Every picture of me, of us together, of the kids and me, gone. Replaced with abstract art I didn't recognize. Where did all the photos go? I asked. Storage, Jennifer said. The kids didn't want them around anymore. They didn't want my photos around. I'd been gone 2 years, not 20. What had happened in 2 years? I drove away from that house at 4 in the afternoon with everything I owned in the trunk of a rental car. I had nowhere to go. I'd already checked out of the hotel because I'd thought I'd be going home. I pulled into a Cracker Barrel parking lot and sat there, trying to figure out my next move. My phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Patterson? Yes. This is Donald Vickers. I was at your ceremony last night. I watched what happened and I've been thinking about it all day. Can I buy you dinner? Who are you? I own a construction company. I'm a Navy vet. Did 2 tours in Desert Storm. I know what it's like to serve and I know what it's like to come home to nothing. Just hear me out. Give me an hour. We met at a steakhouse off Ramsey Street. Vickers was in his mid-60s, grey hair, thick hands, the look of a man who'd worked hard his entire life. He'd brought his wife Karen, a quiet woman with kind eyes. Thank you for meeting me, Vickers said. I won't waste your time. What happened to you last night was wrong. I don't care what your family's grievances are. What they did was cruel and calculated. And I want to help. Help how? I've got a situation, Vickers said. I built my company from nothing. Started with a truck and a toolbox 40 years ago. Now I've got 130 employees, 30 million in annual revenue and more work than I can handle. But I'm dying. Lung cancer. Stage 4. Maybe 6 months left. I'm sorry. Don't be. I've had a good run. But here's my problem. I don't have kids. Karen and I couldn't have children. My nephews, who I thought might take over the company, they're useless. One's in prison for embezzlement. The other's a drug addict. I've spent the last year looking for someone to take over when I'm gone. Someone with integrity. Someone who understands leadership, logistics, responsibility. Last night, watching you stand there while your family humiliated you, I saw something. You didn't fight back. You didn't get angry. You took it with dignity. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. I appreciate that, but I don't know anything about construction. You don't need to. You know how to lead people. You know how to manage complex operations. You know how to make decisions under pressure. I've got foremen who know the building side. I need someone who can run the business. Keep it ethical, keep it growing. Make sure my people are taken care of after I'm gone. Why me? You don't know me. I know enough. I looked into your record today. Called a few people. Everyone says the same thing. You're solid, you're honest, you keep your word. That's rare. So here's my offer. Come work for me starting Monday. I'll pay you $200,000 a year. You shadow me, learn the business. When I die, the company's yours, the whole thing. I stared at him. That's insane. You're offering me a $30 million company because I got humiliated at a banquet. I'm offering you a chance because I believe in you, Vickers said, and because I've spent 40 years building something that matters. I'm not going to let it die because I don't have biological children. You're a man who dedicated his life to serving others. Now I'm asking you to serve one more time. Help me make sure my people, my employees, their families, they're taken care of. Can you do that? Karen touched my hand across the table. We don't have much time to decide, Richard. Donald's doctors say he should start saying goodbye to people, but he won't rest until he knows the company's in good hands. We've been praying for the right person. We think you might be that person. I want to say I hesitated, that I thought about it for days, but I didn't. I said yes, right there in that steakhouse, because what did I have to lose? My family was gone. My career was over. My reputation was destroyed. A stranger was offering me a purpose, and I needed one desperately. I started Monday morning at 7:30. Vickers Concrete and Construction had offices in a converted warehouse off Bragg Boulevard, near the old textile mill that had closed in the 90s. The building still smelled like concrete dust and coffee. The place was organized chaos, orders scattered across desks in a system that made sense only to the people who worked there. Schedules written on whiteboards in 3 different colors. Invoices stuffed in filing cabinets that looked like they hadn't been updated since the 80s. It should have been overwhelming, but after coordinating logistics for an entire army division, managing supply chains across 7 countries and tracking 40,000 pieces of equipment simultaneously, it was manageable. Donald showed me everything that first week. How to read blueprints, the language of construction that looked like Greek at first but made sense once you understood the symbols. How to bid jobs, calculating materials, labor, equipment rental, overhead, profit margin, and still come in competitive. How to manage subcontractors who were independent operators with their own crews, their own schedules, their own problems. How to handle city permits and safety inspections, the bureaucratic maze that could delay a project for months if you didn't know the right people or the right forms. He introduced me to every employee personally, all 130 of them. Took me to job sites across Fayetteville, Spring Lake, Hope Mills, even up to Raleigh for one of the bigger projects. Reggie, this is Richard Patterson. He's going to be running things when I'm gone. Reggie was a concrete truck driver, 47 years old, arms like tree trunks, a man who'd been with Donald for 19 years. He looked me up and down, saw the military bearing I couldn't quite shake, and nodded once. Army? Yes. How long? 32 years. Reggie smiled then. Good. Donald needs someone who understands discipline. This crew's solid, but we need structure. I can do that. Donald introduced me to Teresa next, his office manager. She was 51, had worked for him for 23 years, knew every detail of every project going back decades. She had a system for everything, even if that system looked insane to outsiders. Mr. Patterson, she said, shaking my hand firmly. Call me Richard. All right, Richard. First thing you need to know is that Donald runs this company on relationships. We don't have the lowest bids. We don't have the fastest crews, but we have loyalty. Clients come back because we do what we say we're going to do. Employees stay because Donald takes care of them. You keep that up, we'll be fine. I met foremen, equipment operators, laborers, administrative staff, the safety officer, the quality control inspector. Every single person had a story about Donald, how he'd helped them, how he'd given them a chance when nobody else would. Miguel, one of the foremen, had been homeless when Donald hired him 15 years ago. Gave me a job, an advance on my first paycheck, and a place to stay until I got on my feet, Miguel told me. I owed him everything. Still do. Some were skeptical about me taking over. A few thought Donald should promote from within. Most were just relieved he'd found anyone, to ensure the company would survive after he died. You've got to understand something about these people, Donald said one afternoon in late November. We were standing on a job site in Hope Mills, watching his crews pour a foundation for a new shopping center. The air was cold, that kind of North Carolina cold that gets into your bones because it's damp. Workers moved with practiced efficiency, guiding concrete from the trucks, smoothing it with trowels and floats, checking levels constantly. They're not just employees, they're family. Reggie over there, running that concrete truck. His daughter has leukemia. She's 14. Been fighting it for 3 years. I've covered $73,000 in medical bills the insurance wouldn't pay. He doesn't know I know the exact number, but I keep track. Teresa, my office manager. Her husband left her with 3 kids 7 years ago. Just disappeared one day. Didn't pay child support, didn't call, nothing. I gave her a $22,000 raise and flexible hours so she could be there for them when they needed her. Paid for her oldest son's community college tuition. Donald pointed to another worker, a young man who couldn't have been more than 25. See Marcus over there, the one checking the grade with the laser level. He was in jail when I met him. Aggravated assault. He beat up his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend pretty badly. Did 18 months. Got out with no prospects, no job, no hope. His parole officer sent him my way. I hired him as a laborer 4 years ago. Now he's one of my best equipment operators, getting married next spring. Bought a house last year, turned his whole life around because someone gave him a chance. That's what this company is, Richard. It's second chances. It's loyalty returned with loyalty. These people work hard because they know I care about more than their productivity. I care about their lives, their families, their futures. When Maria's son needed surgery 2 years ago, I paid for it. When James got divorced and couldn't afford a security deposit on an apartment, I co-signed his lease. When the Torres family lost their house in that fire in 2016, I paid for temporary housing and helped them rebuild. That's close to $200,000 over the years, just in direct help, not counting the raises, bonuses, benefits, and the college fund I started. Why are you telling me all this? I asked, though I already knew. Because when I'm gone, they're going to need the same thing from you. These people are loyal because I'm loyal to them. If you take over and you start treating this like just a business, like they're just numbers on a spreadsheet, you'll lose them. The best ones will leave, the company will survive probably, but it won't be what I built. It won't matter the same way. Can you do this? Can you see them as people first and employees second? I looked out at those workers, saw Reggie guiding his truck with the precision of a surgeon, saw Teresa in the office trailer checking schedules, coordinating deliveries, solving problems before they became crises, saw Marcus operating that laser level like it was an extension of his own eyes. I thought about the soldiers I'd commanded over 32 years, how I'd known their names, their families, their struggles, how I'd written letters to parents when their sons or daughters died, how I'd attended weddings and funerals, how I'd fought for their benefits, their promotions, their recognition. I could do this, I knew how to do this, I will, I promised. He nodded slowly, satisfied. I know. That's why I chose you. The first time I heard you on that bench, I didn't just hear a man who'd been hurt. I heard a man who'd spent his life taking care of other people. That's what we need here, not a businessman, a caretaker. Jennifer's lawyer served me with divorce papers 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday morning that started like any other. I was at the construction office, sitting at what used to be Donald's desk and was now mine, reviewing bids for a municipal project in Spring Lake. The courier arrived at 9:15, a young woman who looked uncomfortable delivering bad news to a man old enough to be her father. Richard Patterson? Yes. Sign here, please. I signed. She left quickly, like she could sense the emotional bomb she'd just delivered. The envelope was thick, heavy with legal documents and demands. I sat there for a long time, just holding it, before I finally opened it. Jennifer wanted everything. Half my pension, which would be approximately $4,200 a month for the rest of my life. Half the house value, which our home in Fayetteville had appreciated to $600,000 since we'd bought it, so $300,000 cash. Spousal support of $3,000 a month for 10 years, which totaled $360,000, Plus, and this was the part that really hurt, she wanted me to pay for Derek's law school and Madison's graduate program. Derek's tuition at Campbell Law School was $35,000 a year for 3 years. Madison's graduate program in business administration at UNC Chapel Hill was $43,000 a year for 2 years. I did the math in my head. The pension payments over my expected lifetime, the house buyout, the spousal support, the education costs. The total was close to $900,000, possibly more if I lived longer than the actuarial tables predicted. $900,000 from a man who just started working construction, who had maybe $300,000 in his retirement account, who owned a 12-year-old Toyota Camry and lived in a Holiday Inn Express because he had nowhere else to go. I called a lawyer that afternoon, a retired JAG officer named Lawrence Phillips, who someone at the VFW had recommended when I mentioned I was going through a divorce. He had an office in a strip mall near Cross Creek Mall, one of those places with acoustic tile ceilings and furniture from the 90s. But he was sharp, and he'd handled hundreds of military divorces over a 30-year career. He looked over Jennifer's demands and whistled low. She's going for everything. Can she get it? Probably most of it. You were military, so the pension's definitely divisible under federal law. The Uniformed Services Former Spouses Protection Act is very clear on that. The spousal support is almost certainly justified, given the length of the marriage and the disparity in your current incomes. She's been a homemaker for 28 years. The education costs are harder. Those aren't guaranteed, but a judge might award them given your income potential and the fact that you weren't present during their formative years. A judge could see it as making up for lost parental investment. What income potential? I'm working construction now. They don't know that. They think you've got a big retirement package and job offers from defense contractors lined up. That's what most colonels get when they retire. 6-figure salaries, consulting gigs, board positions. They're assuming you're worth more than you are. Are you going to contest? What choice do I have? If I give her everything she's asking for, I'll be broke. I'll be working until I die just to pay her support. We contested. Phillips filed counter-motions, argued that Jennifer's demands were excessive, requested mediation, tried to negotiate something reasonable, offered 60% of the pension instead of 50%, offered $200,000 for the house instead of $300,000, offered $2,000 a month in support instead of $3,000, offered to pay half the education costs instead of all of them. Jennifer refused everything. Her lawyer, a shark named Patricia Brennan, who had a reputation for destroying military men in divorce court, sent increasingly aggressive letters. Your client abandoned his family for his career. Your client chose deployment after deployment, year after year, putting service above family obligations. My client sacrificed everything to raise their children alone. My client gave up her career, her education, her dreams to support his ambitions. Your client owes a debt that cannot be measured in dollars, but we're going to try anyway. Every letter felt like a knife. The kids didn't call, not once. I tried reaching out a few times, left voicemails, sent texts, nothing. It was like I'd ceased to exist. 2 months after I started at Vickers Construction, on a grey January morning when ice coated everything and the temperature hadn't risen above 25 degrees in a week, Donald collapsed at the office. I was in the warehouse section, talking to Miguel about equipment maintenance schedules, when I heard Teresa scream. Not a startled scream, a terrified scream, the kind that makes your blood run cold and your combat instincts kick in immediately. I ran to Donald's office. He was on the floor, conscious but struggling to breathe. His face was grey, his lips slightly blue. Karen was already there, had been visiting for lunch, was on the phone with 911. The ambulance arrived in 6 minutes. They took him to Cape Fear Valley Hospital, the same hospital where I'd been abandoned in a parking lot 4 months earlier. Life's funny that way sometimes. Karen called me from the hospital 3 hours later. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the tears underneath. "It's time," she said quietly. "The doctors say his organs are shutting down. The cancer's spread to his liver, his lungs, everywhere. They're making him comfortable. He wants to see you." I drove to the hospital, breaking the speed limit, not caring. Parked in that same lot where my son had left me. Walked through those same doors where I'd had my blood pressure checked while my life fell apart. Found Donald in a bed in the ICU, hooked up to machines that beeped and hummed, monitoring a body that was giving up. He looked smaller somehow, frailer. The disease had eaten away at him over the months, but I'd seen him every day, so I hadn't noticed the gradual decline. Now seeing him in that hospital bed, I realized how much weight he'd lost, how pale he'd become, how his hands, those strong hands that had built an empire, shook when he tried to lift them. "Richard," he said when I came in. His voice was weak, barely above a whisper. "Sit down." I sat in the chair next to his bed. Karen was on the other side, holding his hand. He pointed to a folder on the nightstand with his free hand. "Legal documents, the transfer papers, everything's ready. The company's yours when I die. Just sign where my lawyer marked. Donald, you should rest. I'm about to rest permanently," he said with a weak smile. "Listen to me. You've done good work these past 2 months. The crews like you. They respect you. The clients trust you because you're honest with them. You've got good instincts for this business, but you need to be tougher. You're too forgiving." "What do you mean?" "That situation with the Mason Street project. Remember? The subcontractor who screwed up the rebar installation. The spacing was wrong, would have failed inspection, could have compromised the structural integrity of the entire building. You let him fix it at his cost, gave him a second chance. I would have fired him, sued him for the delay costs, and made sure everyone in the industry knew he couldn't be trusted. You're probably right. No probably about it. In business, you can't let people take advantage of your good nature. Be fair, but be firm. People will respect you more if you hold them accountable. Can you do that?" "I'll try." "Good." He closed his eyes for a moment, gathering strength. "Now get out of here. Karen and I need to talk. Private things. Husband and wife things. And you've got a company to run. Payroll's due Friday. Teresa will help you with the processing. Don't screw it up. I won't. Promise me something, anything. Take care of Karen. Not financially. I've got that covered with insurance and investments, but call her sometimes, check on her. She's going to be alone after 41 years of marriage. That's hard, I promise." He died 2 days later, on a Wednesday afternoon at 3:27. Karen called me. "He went peacefully," she said. "He was holding my hand. He said he loved me. Then he just stopped breathing, like he'd decided it was time." I cried. Sat in my car in the construction office parking lot and cried like I hadn't cried since my father died 15 years earlier. Cried for a man I'd known for less than 4 months, but who'd saved my life, who'd given me purpose when I had none, who'd trusted me with his legacy. The funeral was on Saturday at Snyder Memorial Baptist Church, one of those big churches that can hold 1,000 people. We filled it. Employees came with their families. Clients flew in from across the state. Competitors showed up to pay respects. City council members, the mayor, county commissioners, business leaders. Donald had touched hundreds of lives, and they all came to say goodbye. Everyone had a Donald Vickers story. Teresa told about the time her car broke down, and Donald bought her a new one. Just showed up at her house with a Honda Accord and the title in her name. Miguel talked about how Donald had co-signed his mortgage when no bank would take a chance on a convicted felon. Reggie's daughter, the one with leukemia, stood up and said Donald had paid for her treatment when the insurance company denied coverage. She was in remission now, alive because of him. I spoke at the service, standing at the same kind of podium where my family had destroyed me 4 months earlier. But this time, I wasn't talking about medals or service records. I was talking about a man who barely knew me, but trusted me with his life's work, who saw value in me when my own family didn't, who proved that family isn't just blood. It's choice, it's trust, it's sacrifice. I talked about sitting on a bench in a hospital parking lot, feeling like my life was over, and a stranger offering me hope, not because he had to, not because he'd benefit, but because he believed in second chances, because he believed in me. Karen hugged me after. "He was right about you," she whispered. "Take care of his people. I promise." The first crisis after taking ownership was Derek. He showed up at the office on a Wednesday morning, about a week after Donald's funeral, after the legal transfer was complete, after I'd officially become the owner of a $30 million company. I was in what was now my office, the same office where Donald had spent 40 years building something that mattered, reviewing bids for 3 projects simultaneously: a school renovation in Hope Mills, a parking garage in downtown Fayetteville, a medical office building near the hospital. Combined value of the contracts, $7.3 million. My secretary, a woman named Diane, who'd been with the company for 12 years, knocked on the doorframe. "Mr. Patterson, your son is here. He says it's important." I felt my stomach drop. "Send him in." Derek walked in looking confident. Too confident. The Range Rover was parked outside, visible through the window. $92,000 worth of excess. He wore clothes that cost more than most of my employees made in a week. Designer jeans, a cashmere sweater, shoes that probably ran $500. His hair was styled. He smelled like expensive cologne. He looked like someone who'd never worked a real day in his life. "Dad," he said, sitting down in one of the chairs across from my desk without being invited. "Heard about your new situation. Congratulations. That must have been quite a surprise. What do you want, Derek?" He smiled. That same smile he'd given me at the ceremony right before his mother destroyed me. Direct. I like that. I've been thinking about my future, Dad. I'm in law school, as you know, second year at Campbell, but I'm realizing something. I don't want to practice law. I don't want to spend my life in courtrooms arguing cases for clients I don't care about. I want to go into business. Your business, specifically. Absolutely not. Hear me out. I've got a business degree from state. Graduated with honors. I've got connections through Mom's family, through my fraternity, through law school. Young, educated, ambitious. I could help you expand. Take this company to the next level. Modernize it. Bring in new clients. Scale up operations. Think about it. Right now you're doing what, $40 million a year? We could double that in 3 years with the right strategy. You laughed at me at that ceremony. So did Madison. So did your mother. While 300 people watched. And now you want to work for me? That was Mum's thing, Derek said quickly, leaning forward. Madison and I, we got caught up in the moment. We were angry. You'd been gone so much. We felt abandoned. But that doesn't mean we can't move forward. We're family, Dad, and families should work together. This could be good for both of us. You're serious right now. Dead serious. In fact, I've already been thinking about this. I took a business analysis class last semester. Did a project on construction companies. I've got some ideas, real ideas that could transform this company. What kind of ideas? Well, for starters, you could modernize the payroll system. You're still using software from 2008. That's inefficient. Costs you time and money. You could cut administrative costs by 20% just by upgrading technology. Then there's your employee benefits. You're overpaying. The health insurance plan is too generous. The retirement contributions are above industry standard. The college fund Donald started, that's just money being thrown away. Cut those back to market rates, you'd save $400,000 a year minimum. You want me to cut benefits for people who've been with this company for decades? I want you to run a business, not a charity. Donald was sentimental. That's fine. But you could be making $3–4 million more a year in profit if you ran things efficiently. Think about what you could do with that money. Reinvest it, expand, maybe even sell in 5 years for $70–80 million. Walk away rich. I felt my jaw clench. Get out. What? Get out of my office. Dad, you're not thinking clearly. I said, get out. You don't care about this company, you care about money. You see employees as expenses to be cut. You see Donald's legacy as something to be optimized and sold. You're not getting any of this. That's cold, Dad. You know what's cold, Derek? Watching your father get destroyed in public and laughing about it. Texting your friends about it. Posting about it on social media. You know what's cold? Not calling for 4 months. Not checking if I was okay. Not caring if I was homeless or dead. And now you show up here in your $92,000 car, wearing clothes that cost more than Teresa makes in a month. And you want to help me? You want to work together? You want to be family? He stood up, his face flushing. Fine. I tried to be reasonable. But you're going to regret this. You think you can run this company? You don't know anything about construction? You're going to fail. And when you do, don't come crying to us. Now leave. He left. But as he reached the door, he turned back. One more thing. Mom's lawyer is going after everything, the pension, the house, the support, all of it, and we support her. We testified in depositions about how absent you were, how you missed everything, how you chose the army over us. Every single time. The judge is going to hear from your own children about what a failure you were as a father. Good luck with that. The door closed. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall where Donald had hung photos of job sites. buildings he'd constructed, schools, hospitals, bridges, things that lasted, things that mattered. Then I called Phillips, my lawyer. We need to prepare for the worst. Over the next month, Derek tried everything to get back into my life, but now his approach had changed. He wasn't asking for a job anymore. He was asking for money. First, it was small things. Text messages. Hey, Dad, my laptop died. Law school needs specific software. Could you help out? $2,000. I ignored it. Then it escalated. Emails with subject lines like investment opportunity and family matters. Inside were business plans, prospectuses for startup companies, requests to co-sign loans. I deleted all of it without reading past the first paragraph. He sent flowers to the office once with a card that said, "I'm sorry for how things went. Can we talk?" I threw them away. He showed up at a job site where I was reviewing plans with Miguel. The foreman saw him coming, saw my face, and intercepted him before he could reach me. "Sir, this is a hard hat area. You need to leave." Derek argued. Miguel didn't budge. Eventually, Derek left, but not before shouting across the site, "You can't ignore me forever, Dad. We're going to have to deal with each other eventually." Then Madison started. She called one evening in late February. I was at my small house, the one I'd bought near the office. 3 bedrooms, nothing fancy, but it was mine, clean, quiet. I was making dinner, something simple, pasta with jarred sauce, when my phone rang. Her name on the screen made me hesitate. I almost didn't answer, but she was still my daughter. Whatever else had happened, she was still my daughter. "Dad, it's Madison." "Hello, Madison. How are you?" "I'm okay. I heard about Derek's visit." That was awkward. It was. She laughed nervously. "Yeah, he told me. He was pretty angry, said you basically threw him out." "I did." There was a long pause. "Look, I'm not going to ask to work for you. I know that ship has sailed. But I do want to talk about something. I'm listening. Mum's legal fees are getting expensive. This divorce is costing her a fortune. 80,000 so far. Her lawyer charges $400 an hour. Every motion, every filing, every court appearance, it adds up. And I'm in graduate school at UNC. Business administration. I've got loans. 43,000 a year in tuition. Living expenses on top of that. I'm graduating next year, but I'm going to be buried in debt. What do you want, Madison? I was wondering if maybe you could help out, just until things settle down, just until I graduate and get a job. Maybe help with Mum's legal fees, too. You want me to pay your mother's divorce lawyer to take everything I have? And pay for your education on top of it. I know it sounds bad when you say it like that. It sounds exactly like what it is. Opportunistic. You and your brother watched your mother humiliate me in front of everyone who mattered in my professional life. You laughed. You posted about it online. I saw the tweets, Madison. I saw you calling me a deadbeat dad, calling me a failure, saying I deserved what happened. And now you want money. I was angry, she said quietly. I was hurt. You were never there, Dad. Never. Do you know what it's like to have a father who's physically present, maybe 20% of your childhood? Who misses every important moment? Who chooses wars over his own children? I didn't choose wars. I served my country. You chose your country over us. Every single time. When I was 8 and had my dance recital, you were in Iraq. When I was 12 and won the state debate championship, you were in Afghanistan. When I graduated high school, you were in Germany. You missed my entire life. So yeah, I was angry. We all were. So you decided to destroy me? We decided to tell the truth. Mom had been planning that for months. She told us what she was going to do, asked if we'd support her. We said yes because everything she said was true. You were a terrible father. You were an absent husband. You made your choices. We made ours. And now you're making yours by refusing to help your own daughter pay for school. I don't understand why you're being like this. We're your family. You're the people who humiliated me in public. You're the people who laughed while I stood there with a medal on my chest, being honored for 32 years of service, and got torn apart. You're the people who didn't call for months, who didn't care if I was homeless, who didn't care if I was okay. And now you want money because your mother's lawyer is expensive, and you took out loans for a degree you chose to pursue. Yes or no? Are you going to help? No. Madison was quiet for a long moment. Then her voice changed, got harder. Fine, but you should know something. Mom's lawyer is going after your new company. They know about the ownership transfer. They're arguing that you hid assets, that you should have disclosed Donald's offer before the divorce proceedings started. They're saying you owe Mum half of what the company's worth. That's $15 million, Dad, $15 million. You're going to lose everything anyway. The company was transferred to me after Jennifer filed. There's nothing to hide. Her lawyer doesn't see it that way. And honestly, after this conversation, I hope she takes you for everything. You deserve it. She hung up. I stood there in my kitchen, pasta boiling over on the stove, and I felt something inside me harden. Whatever guilt I'd been carrying about being absent, whatever doubt I'd had about my choices, it crystallized into certainty. I'd made mistakes. I'd been gone too much. But what they'd done to me was worse, and I wasn't going to let them take anything else. The divorce moved forward like a slow-motion train wreck. Jennifer's lawyer kept pushing for more. My lawyer kept fighting back. Court dates were set, postponed, rescheduled. Depositions were taken. Financial records were subpoenaed. It was exhausting and expensive. My legal fees hit $40,000 by April, and then 6 months after Donald died, 6 months after I'd taken over a company I barely understood, everything changed. A developer approached me about buying a property the company owned. His name was Marcus Huang, and he represented a Singapore-based investment group looking to build a mixed-use development in Fayetteville. Retail, residential, office space, a $40 million project. He'd done his research and discovered that Vickers Construction owned 15 acres on the edge of Fayetteville near Hope Mills. That would be perfect for their needs. The property sat at the intersection of 2 major roads, was already zoned for commercial use, had utilities stubbed in, and was flat enough that site preparation would be minimal. Donald had bought that land 20 years ago for $200,000. It had sat vacant ever since, generating nothing but property tax bills. Donald had always said it would be valuable someday, that Fayetteville was growing in that direction, that patience would pay off. He'd been right. "Mr. Patterson," Huang said when we met in my office, "we're prepared to offer $12 million for the property. Cash sale, 30-day close. We've already done environmental assessments. We've already done title work. We're ready to move immediately." $12 million. I sat there trying to process that number. "Mr. Huang, can I ask why you're offering so much? The property's valuable, but $12 million seems high." "It's exactly what we need," he said. "The location is perfect. The zoning is done. The utilities are there. If we had to find another property, do the zoning, run utilities, we'd spend 2 years and $3 million. $12 million today saves us time and money. Plus, we've heard good things about your company. We'd like you to bid on the construction contract. If you get the land, you're not obligated to use us, but we hope you'll consider it." I asked for time to think about it. Talked to Karen that evening. She came over for dinner, something we'd been doing once a week since Donald died. She missed him terribly, but she was managing, staying busy, volunteering, spending time with friends. "What do you think Donald would want me to do?" I asked her. We were sitting on my back porch drinking coffee, watching the sunset. "He'd want you to do what's best for the company," she said, "but he'd also want you to do what's best for you. $12 million is a lot of money. What would you do with it?" I could settle the divorce immediately, pay Jennifer everything she's asking for, give Derek his education money, give Madison hers, walk away clean, start over. And the company would still be worth $18 million after the sale, would still have all its contracts, would still employ everyone. It would just be smaller, more manageable. Karen nodded slowly. "Richard, can I tell you something Donald told me before he died?" "Of course. He said he was worried about you, not about your ability to run the company. He knew you could do that. He was worried that your family would come back once they knew you had money. He was worried they'd take advantage of you. He made me promise to remind you of something if it happened." "What?" "That you don't owe them anything. Whatever debt you think you have because you were absent, you've already paid it. You worked for 32 years. You sent money home. You provided. You did your duty. The fact that they're angry about your choices doesn't mean your choices were wrong. It just means they don't understand the weight of duty. But I was absent. I missed so much. You were serving your country. That matters. Donald served too. Navy. He understood. He said to tell you that sometimes the people we serve don't appreciate the sacrifice until it's too late, and sometimes they never appreciate it at all. But that doesn't make the service worthless. I thought about that for a long time. Mr. Patterson, my lawyer said when I asked him about the sale, that property sale would give you liquid assets to settle the divorce immediately. You could pay Jennifer everything she's demanding, give the kids their education money, keep the business. Keep $5 million for yourself. You'd be free. The divorce would be over. You could move on with your life. No more legal fees, no more fighting, no more stress. Do it. I sold the property. The closing took 28 days. $12 million wired into the company account. The largest single transaction I'd ever been part of. I sat in the conference room at the title company, signing documents, and felt strange. Not happy exactly. Not sad. Just strange. Like I was buying my freedom with money that felt tainted somehow. Money that represented giving in. Giving them what they wanted, letting them win. But I was also tired. So tired of fighting. Tired of lawyers. Tired of court dates. Tired of the stress raising my blood pressure and giving me headaches. Tired of wondering what Jennifer would demand next. I paid Jennifer $850,000 in a lump sum settlement. Half the pension, $4,200 a month for life, commuted to present value. Half the house, $300,000. The spousal support, $3,000 a month for 10 years, also commuted to present value. It came to $850,000. I paid Derek's remaining law school tuition, 3 years at $35,000 a year, $90,000 total. I paid Madison's graduate school tuition, 2 years at $43,000 a year, $65,000 total. Wrote 4 checks, walked into my lawyer's office, handed them over, done, everything they asked for, everything they demanded, everything they threatened to take in court. They got it all. The divorce was finalized exactly 8 months after that ceremony, 8 months after my family destroyed me in public. The judge signed the papers. My lawyer called me. It's over, Richard. You're officially divorced. How do you feel? Free, I said. And somehow, that was true. Jennifer sent me one text. Thank you for doing the right thing. I didn't respond. A year passed. The company grew. We landed a contract to build a new elementary school, another to renovate the base hospital at Fort Bragg. Revenue hit $40 million. I hired 20 more people, gave everyone raises, started a college fund program for employees' kids. I dated a little, nothing serious. Mostly I worked, slept, worked more. I bought a small house near the office. Nothing fancy, 3 bedrooms, a yard. It was enough. I didn't need much. Then 2 years after the ceremony, I got a call from Derek. Dad, we need to talk. About what? Mum's getting remarried. I paused. Okay, good for her. His name's Trevor. He's a financial advisor. They've been dating for 18 months. Wait, 18 months? They met before the divorce was final. Derek was quiet. Actually, they met before that. Before the ceremony? Derek, how long was your mother seeing this man? I don't know exactly. A while. That's why I'm calling. There's been some complications. What complications? Trevor invested Mum's divorce settlement. He said he could triple it in 2 years with smart trading. It's gone. What do you mean gone? I mean he lost it all. Bad trades. Market timing. Something about crypto. Mum's broke, Dad. She's living off credit cards. The house is in foreclosure. And Trevor disappeared. Wiped out 6 other clients and vanished. FBI's looking for him, but nobody thinks they'll find him. I sat down. I was in my office. Outside I could see a crew loading trucks for tomorrow's job. My hands were shaking. How much is gone? All of it. $850,000. Plus she'd borrowed against the house. She owes $400,000 on a property worth $300,000. She's underwater and broke. What about her lawyer? Her lawyer says it's not their problem. Mum made the investment decisions. She's trying to sue Trevor's firm, but they're declaring bankruptcy. There's nothing to get. And you, me and Madison? We're fine. I mean, we're not rich, but we've got jobs now. Madison's working as a corporate recruiter. I'm doing paralegal work while I finish law school. But Mum, she's a mess, Dad. She's talking about bankruptcy, about losing everything. Why are you telling me this? Because she needs help. She's too proud to call you, but I'm not. She's still my mother, and she's your ex-wife. She's the woman who destroyed me in public, took almost everything I had, and was apparently cheating on me for who knows how long. Yeah, Derek said quietly. That's all true. Are you asking me to help her? I'm asking you to consider it. I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I thought about Jennifer, about 28 years of marriage, about the early days when we were happy, about the slow erosion of connection as my career took me further from home, about her crying at night when she thought I was asleep, about how lonely she must have been, about how I'd chosen duty over presence so many times that presence became impossible. She'd hurt me. God, she'd hurt me. But I'd hurt her first. Just differently, slowly, over decades, through absence instead of cruelty. 3 days later, I called Derek. Tell your mother I'll pay off the house. I'll give her $500,000 to restart her life. On 2 conditions. What conditions? First, she gets financial counseling, real counseling, from someone who isn't trying to get rich off her. I'll arrange it and pay for it. Second, we have dinner, all 4 of us. Your mother, you, Madison, and me. 1 dinner, no lawyers, no drama, just conversation. That's it? That's it. Why are you doing this? Because your mother's right about one thing. I wasn't there. I made choices that hurt all of you. I don't know if I'd make different choices if I could go back, but I understand now that my choices had costs. And she paid those costs. You and Madison paid them too. This doesn't fix anything, but maybe it helps. We had dinner 3 weeks later on a Tuesday evening in late October, exactly 2 years after the ceremony. I chose the restaurant carefully. Not too fancy, because that would feel like I was showing off. Not too casual, because this conversation deserved weight. I picked the Mash House, a place downtown that served good food without pretension, comfortable booths, dim lighting, quiet enough to talk. I got there first, 15 minutes early, and sat in a booth near the back. Watched people come and go, couples on dates, families with small children, groups of friends laughing over appetizers, normal people living normal lives. Jennifer arrived next, exactly on time. She looked older than I remembered. The past 2 years had changed her. The confidence and anger from the ceremony was gone, replaced by something that looked like exhaustion. She'd lost weight, but not in a healthy way. Her clothes hung loose. Her hair, which had been professionally styled at the ceremony, was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She saw me and hesitated for just a moment before walking over. Richard, Jennifer, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. And for the money. You didn't have to do that. Maybe not, but I wanted to. Derek and Madison arrived together 10 minutes late. Derek had lost some of that swagger. He wore jeans and a normal shirt, not the designer clothes from his office visit. Madison looked nervous, kept glancing at me like she wasn't sure how to act. They sat down across from Jennifer and me, and for a long moment nobody said anything. The waitress came, took drink orders, left menus. Still, nobody talked. Finally, I broke the silence. I'm glad you all came. I wasn't sure you would. I wouldn't have missed this, Jennifer said quietly. Not after everything. We ordered food, made small talk about nothing important. The weather, traffic, safe topics. Then, after the food arrived, Jennifer set down her fork and looked at me. I need to say something. I've been practicing this for days, but I'm still not sure how to say it right, so I'm just going to say it. What I did at that ceremony was unforgivable. I spent months planning it. I coordinated with the kids. I timed it perfectly. I wanted to hurt you in the most public, most humiliating way possible, and I succeeded. But it was wrong. It was cruel. It was vindictive. And I'm sorry. Why did you do it? Because I was angry. I'd been angry for years. Every missed birthday, every missed anniversary, every holiday you weren't there, it built up. And I told myself I was okay with it. I told myself I was proud of what you were doing, proud of your service. But underneath, I was furious. Furious that you chose the army over me. Over us, every single time. I felt abandoned. I felt like I didn't matter, like the kids didn't matter, like we were just the people you came home to between deployments. And when you retired, when you finally came home for good, I realized something. I didn't know you anymore. We'd been married for 28 years, but we were strangers. And I didn't want to be married to a stranger. I should have just asked for a divorce quietly. Should have sat you down and explained how I felt. But I wanted you to feel what I'd felt. I wanted you to feel humiliated and small and worthless. I wanted you to stand there in front of everyone and understand what it's like to be publicly diminished. She was crying now, quietly. So that was my revenge. And it was awful. And I've regretted it every day since. Derek spoke up then. His voice was different from the last time I'd heard it. Softer, less confident. Dad, I need to apologize too. What I did laughing at you like that, it was inexcusable. I was angry too. Mom had been talking for months about how you'd ruined her life, how you'd chosen your career over us. And I believed it. I still think you were absent too much. I still think you made choices that hurt us, but you didn't deserve what we did to you. Madison nodded. I was horrible. Posting online, calling you a deadbeat, laughing while you stood there. I've deleted all of it, but I know the damage is done. I know people saw it. I know it hurt you, and I'm sorry. I don't know if sorry is enough, but it's all I have. I looked at the three of them. My ex-wife, my son, my daughter. People I'd loved for decades. People who'd hurt me worse than anything I'd experienced in 32 years of military service. But also people who'd been hurt by me. Maybe not as dramatically, maybe not as publicly, but hurt nonetheless. Through absence, through choice, through prioritizing duty over presence. I want to say something too, I said. I was absent, you're right about that. I missed birthdays and holidays and recitals and games and graduations. I chose deployment after deployment. I chose promotion after promotion. I chose the army over being there. And I told myself it was noble. I told myself I was serving something bigger than myself, protecting my country, leading soldiers, making a difference. And maybe I was. Maybe all of that mattered. But it came at a cost. You paid that cost. You grew up without a father who was really present. Jennifer, you raised 2 kids essentially alone for 3 decades. You dealt with every crisis, every problem, every moment without me. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I didn't understand until too late how much damage I was doing. But I also need you to understand something. What you did to me at that ceremony almost destroyed me. I stood in a hospital parking lot that day with $40 and nowhere to go. I was ready to give up, to just disappear. If Donald Vickers hadn't found me, or if I hadn't found him, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe I'd have ended up homeless. Maybe worse. You took everything from me at a moment when I was being honored. You turned my greatest professional achievement into my worst personal humiliation. And that was calculated. That was cruel. That was revenge. And I need to know that you understand how wrong it was. Jennifer nodded. I do. I understand. It was wrong, and I will spend the rest of my life regretting it. We sat in silence for a while, eating slowly, processing everything that had been said. Then Derek asked a question. Dad, what happened with Donald Vickers? How did you end up running his company? I told them the story about sitting on that bench, about the unusual offer, about the months working with Donald, about his death, about the company, about the property sale that gave me the money to settle the divorce. I told them about the employees, about Teresa and Reggie and Miguel, about people who'd been given second chances, about loyalty repaid with loyalty. That's incredible, Madison said softly. He sounds like an amazing man. He was. He saved my life, not with money or opportunity, though those helped. He saved me by believing I was worth saving when nobody else did. By seeing value where you all saw burden. Derek looked down at his plate. I'm glad he found you. I'm glad someone did. We talked for 3 more hours. About everything, about the past, about the hurt on all sides, about misunderstandings and miscommunications, about expectations that were never voiced, about resentments that built over years. It wasn't comfortable. There were tears. There were raised voices sometimes, but it was honest. Maybe for the first time in decades, we were completely honest with each other. Before we left, Jennifer asked a question. What happens now between us? I mean, we're not a family anymore, not like we were, but are we something? I thought about that. Considered lying. Considered saying we could go back to some version of normal. But normal was gone. Normal had been destroyed at that ceremony. We're not a family, I said finally. Not in the traditional sense. But maybe we can be something better. People who share history. People who care about each other from a distance. People who understand that we all made mistakes and we're all trying to do better. Can we do that? I'd like that, Jennifer said. I'd like that very much. 6 months later, Jennifer got a job as an office manager at a law firm. She's rebuilding. Derek passed the bar exam. Madison got promoted. They call sometimes. Not often, but sometimes. We're careful with each other. Polite. There's damage that won't heal, but there's also understanding that didn't exist before. I think about that ceremony sometimes, about standing at that podium while my world collapsed, about how everything I thought I was building turned out to be built on sand. Donald Vickers saved me, not with money or opportunity, though those helped. He saved me by believing I was worth saving when nobody else did, by seeing value where my own family saw burden. The company's worth $60 million now. We employ 207 people. We're building a new high school in Spring Lake and a medical center at Fort Liberty. We sponsor little league teams and scholarship programs. Every employee's kid who wants to go to college gets $5,000 a year from the Vickers Educational Fund. Karen visits sometimes. She's in her 70s now, still sharp, still kind. Donald would be proud, she told me last month. You kept his promise. I tried to keep mine too. To be fair, but firm. To take care of his people. To build something that matters. I'm 56 now. 2 years past that ceremony, 2 years past the worst night of my life. I date occasionally. I've got a small circle of friends, veterans mostly. We meet for coffee, talk about things civilians don't understand. But I'm not lonely, not really. Because I learned something important that night. The people who matter are the ones who show up when you've got nothing to offer them but yourself. The ones who see you at your lowest and choose to lift you anyway. Donald Vickers was that person for me. He saw a broken man in a parking lot, or at least heard about one, and decided to make him whole. Not because he had to, not because he'd benefit, but because he believed in second chances. Last week I drove past the house in Fayetteville, the one I'd lived in for 17 years. There's a young family there now, kids playing in the yard, a dog. It looked happy. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I just felt grateful that I'd survived, that I'd found purpose after loss, that I'd learned the difference between being present and being there. Jennifer was right. I'd chosen my career over my family, over and over, for 32 years, and that had consequences. But she was wrong too. Service matters. Sacrifice matters. The soldiers I led, the missions I completed, the logistics that saved lives, those weren't wasted years. They just weren't the only years that mattered. If I could go back, I'd do things differently. I'd miss fewer birthdays, I'd be home more. I'd choose presence sometimes instead of duty. But I can't go back. None of us can. We can only move forward with the wisdom our mistakes teach us. So I'm moving forward, building schools and hospitals, employing people who need work, creating opportunity where I found it myself. And sometimes, maybe once a month, I visit Donald's grave. Tell him how the company's doing. Thank him for seeing something in me worth saving. He never answers, obviously, but I think he'd be satisfied. I think he'd say I kept my word. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Keep our word, show up, be present, build something that outlasts us. The medal from that ceremony. I donated it to the regiment, let them display it, let someone else feel proud of it. I don't need it anymore, because I learned the hardest lesson a soldier can learn. The battles that matter most aren't fought overseas, they're fought at home. At dinner tables, in living rooms, in the quiet moments between missions when you choose whether to be there or be gone. I chose wrong for a long time, but I'm choosing right now, and maybe that's enough. Maybe second chances are the real medals we earn. Not the ones pinned to our chests, but the ones we pin to our hearts. The ones that remind us we survived. We learned. We became better than we were.